cause tuko na energy nyingi sana, we are so energetic, but we also have to be strategic. Juu sahii tukiendelea venye tunaendelea, I'm seeing Ruto catching up. But sorry ni, I agree with what you're saying, but tukiweza jiuliza nini wase walikuwa wanafanya State House last weekend?
And
Hiyo ndio
those
opinion.
leaders wakitokea, what guarantees can you give them that they won't be shot down like the ones before them? You understand? Like right now in Kenya,
Yeah,
the Gen Z movement has concentrated on perfection. You have perfect. Nisi find out like kuna siku uliendaga sijui wapi ukafanya hivi. Z, we are cancelling you. So when Gachagua die hard nini?
mimi ni Gen Z's diehard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does a Gen Z die hard? What does that mean?
What it means is that sahi niko I'm supporting the young people,
Yes.
what they want to achieve, na mwenye atawasaidia kuachieve chenye wanataka, whether ni Gachagua, whether ni Maraga, whether ni Matiang'i, and all the above, niko kwa hiyo team. So
Okay.
sahi team Gen Z, and also actually the youth, sisi wote. So yeah, hiyo ndio team yenye niko sahi. Yes, so Gatambia Irongo is youth in DC, but pia mimi ni Kenya. So I first recognize with home, charity begins at home. And yeah, I've been a student leader huku hivi in Washington DC.
Okay.
So who's Gatambia Irongo? Currently, I'm a PhD candidate at the University of the District of Columbia, huku Washington DC. Na pia in the field of computer science, which I've been for the last 4 years also. But pia napenda siasa, so I'm also a community leader huku hivi area DC, Maryland, Virginia.
Okay. Umekuwa States for how long?
Nimekuwa ku miaka 7 sasa. Actually 8, juu nilikuja 2017. Yeah. So nilikuja kama student, nikaingia masters, nikamaliza. And then pia nikafanya kazi miaka 3.5 na DC government. That was before nikarudi sasa kuchangamkia PhD. So ndo nakazana nayo sahi.
Okay. And so kuna msapa na kuenjoy a Gen Z diehard like Morara Kebaso and Kasmuel Makoure. So lazima nikuuliza, majuzi Kasmuel alikuwa amekuja US. By any chance path zenyu zilicross? Because I think alienda the Virginia something. Alikuwa amekuja some leadership thing at Virginia University. It was Virginia something, yeah.
Yes. I think alikuwa amekuja I think with the Mandela Foundation. Hapana, hatuku meet na Kasmuel. Lakini naona hapo Morara Kebaso, so hatukukutana Kasmuel, but well, I think that is one of the issues zenye I've been actually having a problem with, because as I was saying, watu kukutana naye, but tungekutana naye ningemwambia same issues zenye nilikuwa nimeandika kuhusu, na pia nijue mwelekeo wa the Gen Z movement, because I feel venye mambo inaenda penye ya wamepeleka mambo is not the right way. So wako wanakuja hapa DC, most politicians do come, tunakutana nao, but si kutana Kasmuel, lakini Matiang'i, Gachagua, yes.
Okay, so ungemwambia nini? What would you have told him? Ungemeet na Kasmuel, like what is he doing wrong?
Yeah, so ningekutana na Kasmuel. Well, I feel as if, and I'll be very honest, I feel as if they've in a way betrayed majority of the young people.
How?
Pia kuna maswali how that is, so yeah. So to start with, I feel hii movement ya Gen Z, it was very organic. It was a very organic movement. Na there's some very important and pertinent issues zenye zilikuwa zimekasirisha vijana. Number one, issue kama ya finance bill. And hii hasira, wanasema protest is the language of the unheard.
Yes.
That's the reason vijana walitokea. And as a result, the impact was actually felt, not just in Kenya, across Africa.
Yes.
But it's just slightly over near sahi, washaanza kushikana na wanasiasa wengine and aligning themselves with politicians. I mean, they can do that for their own personal reasons, political ambitions. But I feel that that being co-opted by politicians is a step in the wrong direction. Now, as someone who was, the young people are looking up to, tungekutana naye ningemwambia na ningemuuliza maswali like, why do you feel, being with politicians will solve the problem? So why do you feel we should pursue this way of working with politicians in order to resolve these issues of the Gen Zs?
Okay.
So pengine tungepigana mangumi.
Yeah, because kitu fani na wewe umetoka tu kusema a few minutes ago,
Yes.
that you are ready to align with anyone who the Gen Z is aligned to. So you talked about aligning with Matiang'i,
Yes.
aligning with Gachagua, or aligning with umona. And then the next minute
Yes.
unasema ye mwenyewe hafai kualign na politicians. Do you see the hypocrisy in your thinking? That if you can align with a politician, because a quick fast,
Yeah.
tell me what's the difference between Matiang'i and Ruto? Give me the difference. And then ukishanipatia hiyo
Okay,
difference, unipatia the difference between Matiang'i and Gachagua, because you also gave an example that you'd be ready to work with Gachagua if the Gen Zs are ready to work with Gachagua. So tell me the difference between Gachagua and Ruto, Matiang'i and Ruto.
So what I said is, I would be ready to work with whoever candidate would help the Gen Zs.
Yes.
And also not as an individual. Tukisema okay, tuseme tunakaribia 2027 and Gen Zs waseme kulingana na venye tumeona, the only person who can, address our issues is candidate X, Y, and Z. That person, I would be willing to work with him. Yeah.
And
so not as an individual.
because Kasmuel on the other side will say ODM convinced him that they are ready to work for the youth. Understand why it becomes a very murky waters, this working with.
Yeah.
Because it's either we are rolling solo ama we are ready to collaborate. But Sasa, one of the interesting things you said, ulikuwa nasema that according to you,
Yes.
you feel the Gen Z movement
Yes.
needs a leader. Sindio? But now,
Definitely.
before you tell me the sort of leader it wants, let me also remind you that
Yeah.
Kasmuel offered leadership, he was shot down. Morara offered leadership, he was shot down. There's that the kagal ulewa baba baki nyumbani. Hao walitokeaga na siku moja, we want to start a Gen Z party. Wakamboe Gen Z party, chukueni muingize kwa matako. So now, what do you think has not been done? Because I think people have tried that. And the youth Gen Zs have said they want to be leaderless, radarless, and clueless, and whatever less. So kwa nini wanafikiria you're different from them, the ones who've been shot down?
Yeah, that's a good question. So ikikuja ni leadership, venye mi naamini and the right and the most effective way yenye inaweza saidia Gen Zs is to have a sort of leadership which is called polycentric leadership. And itasema I'll just define polycentric.
Yes.
What I mean ni hatuhitaji kiongozi mmoja. And umesema hapa Kasmuel alisema okay, I'm offering myself for leadership, watu wakakataa. Morara akasema watu wakakataa. Why? Because that's a type of leadership yenye inaitwa monolithic ama just having one figurehead.
Yes.
Right? Anakuja anajitokeza anasema mimi nitakuwa kiongozi wenyu. Hiyo sidhani inaweza work sahi. But Kikuja ni leadership yenye inaweza work kwa Gen Z sahi, we would need a form of leadership, and I've not heard anyone talking about it, called Polycentric leadership. Chenye namaanisha ni hivi. Okay, tuko wengi, we are millions of us, we are across the country, but we have some maybe 2-3 things that we want. Hatutaki watu wauawe. We don't want kidnappings. We don't want corruption. And also we don't want a punitive tax regime, and so many things that we all agree on. However, hizi siasa zetu za Kenya, since independence, siasa zetu za Kenya zimekuwa na a lot of betrayal. So Kasmuel akikuja aseme, okay, I want to be the leader, ama Morara, I can see why watu wanakataa. But now, chenye tunafaa tujue ni, okay, number one, we still need some leadership, but nikajiuliza swali, okay, Mau wakati walikuwa wanapigania independence, walikuwa na Kenyatta, walikuwa na kina Bildad Kagia, but Kenyatta alikuwa anafanya nini? Dedan Kimathi alikuwa akifanya nini? Dedan Kimathi alikuwa kwa msitu, Kenyatta alikuwa akirobi, na pia alikuwa anaenda England, and so on and so forth. So Mau was a movement just like we have Gen Zs, but they achieved their goal. Why? Because they did not rely on this just one leader. Kenyatta akiwa huko England, kuna wase walikuwa kwa msitu wakipigana. Kuna wase walikuwa huko kwa vijiji, and so on and so forth. So I think what we need is tushikane, tujue, number one, for now, weke wanasiasa kando, ODM, UDA, and then tunaweza angalia who can we work with to make this a reality, and also to be effective. Juwase uchoka, mwaka moja imeishia, and as I said, the regime is hell-bent on brutalizing these young people. Tukitokea kwa street, leo watu 10 wanauawa, kesho 60 people. So what's the best way? Yes, you can still have an effect. Nezambia serikali ni hivi, na kama si hivi, give it conditions. But the best way to do this is not just have one leader, but have a formula that has a number of leaders, a number of organizations that can work together in such a way that there is no any decision that is made by one person. But yeah?
I think that's the same thing that happens with the ODMs and the UDAs. Yes, Ruto is the leader, but he does not make all the decisions. Of course, saizi jua tumpendi tutasema he makes all the decisions, but in reality, he does not. Raila is the leader, but he does not make all the decisions. So what's hiki tunasema where like decisions supposed to be made by many people, at the end of the day, even the many people will still have to choose one person. Because you see, you can't have a 7-headed presidency. The presidency has to be one head. Sindio? So this is why now it becomes really weird, because size it's like the Gen Zs want a leader, but they don't want a leader. Because the reality of leadership is there has to be one person who ends up being at the top, and the rest have to be chini yake. And wale wako chini yake lazima wa understand, and they have to believe in his leadership to a certain level. And this is the reason why Donald Trump exists. The reason why Nini Starmer and exist. You understand, like Putin and exist. There has to be that one person at the end of the day. So mnaweza kuwa wengi. Let's look at a country like China, for example. China, of course, your party ya China, the Communist Party, yes? So the Communist Party, yes. Iyo, CCP, yes. CCP inakuagana like a council of leadership, but still Jinping is still the head. So you understand, like we can't run away from the head element. And I think that what I feel is sad about the whole Gen Z movement is the fact that there's a lot of why him and not me. Mimi na Kasmuel tuko sawa. You see, Kasmuel can articulate his points, yes? Morara can articulate his points. Kuna besti yangu itangwa Richi usamaga every Tom whose dick is hairy. Not every Tom whose dick is hairy can articulate his points. So you have these people who can articulate their points. They can bring people close. But what they've noticed is when they try to do that, because they are charismatic ama nini, they are watu wanawa fight. Alafu now they end up going back. alafu now you end up without leadership, ama they themselves end up being called to places where they are not fought every day, and they go there because as a human being, the funny thing is no one wants to be attacked every day. So I think ni kama
But
your leadership una propose, at the end of the day it's leadership in denial, because you'll still have to choose one person. There still has to be like, this is our leader.
I think kuna difference because this leadership, Gen Zs can need a partner with professionals. And not just one professionals. Tapatia example. Mtu kama Faith Odhiambo, huyu wa RSK, right? One thing that she's been very consistent in is watu wakishikwa, mimi na wewe tukitokea kwa street tushikwe, we are at least tuko na confidence RSK sometime Monday itakuja itatubail out, ama tukipelekwa kwa koti they'll send some lawyers wakuja wafanye pro bono work and will be bailed out. Now that's a very good example because Faith Odhiambo RSK is doing the work to help the Gen Zs, but hatujaangalia other organizations that can help us because the issue hapa, like one of the main issues ilikuwa finance bill, right? But we have some organizations such as ICPAC,
Yes.
the Institute of Certified Public Accounts. We did not see those professionals, and we've not seen them kukuja kuambia vijana, okay, if it's the finance bill, kama sahi wanasema finance bill ya 2025 ilienda chini ya maji, you know, hizi taxes hazikureduciwa, but hatujaona watu wa certified public accounts wakikuja kuambia vijana, hey, by the way, tax code inakuanga hivi, right? And these are the taxes. This is punitive. This is not. This has been revised. Nothing. Faith Odhiambo, at least here anasaidia, kikuja ni active, ni Raw Society makesi, she's helping the youth. The people who have been abducted, they are going to police stations. Okay. Sahi, hatutaki Ruto. Ama, of course, we want good governance. But is there any organization yenye inasaidia Gen Zs kufanya civic education? And the biggest problem that Kenya has right now is when it comes to voting, of course, unasikia watu wakisema ikikuja ni kwa ballot, watu huwa vote na akili. Why? Because we don't do civic education. IEBC is supposed to do civic education and it does not do. So sahi, 2027 haiko mbali. Is there anyone who's enlightening Gen Zs on civic education? County by counties, ward by ward, there's no one. And I think issue ya kusema tunahitaji reader akuja hapa tuwakilishe, that's a short-term gain. Because ukiangalia hata an example issue, Mau Mau, ANC in South Africa, wakifight apartheid, ama US during the civil rights movements, these are movements whose fruit was realized after some 1-2 decades, 10-20 years. So sahi, hii movement ya Gen Z, nitakaa hapa nikudanganye nikuambie, for us to get a better Kenya, to get a better Kenya in 2027. It's ambitious, yes, but situanze na parliament 2027, 2032, 2023. By the time inafika 2037 hapo, 2032, if I'm so ambitious, we have the type of leader that the country needs. But before then, we have a parliament that can check the president, and we have addressed some of those issues. Watu wenye wanaweza katusaidia tufike hapo, we need professionals on board. We need artists on board. We need journalists like you and the others on board. And now once we have those 3-4 types of organizations, maybe they can be making a unanimous decision on behalf of their organizations. Na sasa wanasema, okay, msimamo yetu ni hii. And now at that point, they can even sign a document on behalf of the Gen Zs. They can have an agreement with the presidential candidate that they feel represents the Gen Z's ideals. Kama ni Maraga sasa, 2027, wanaweza sasa sema, on behalf of professionals representing Gen Zs, on behalf of RSK representing Gen Zs, on behalf of the civil society representing Gen Zs, on behalf of artists tume-endorse Maraga, ama tume-endorse Matiang'i, and so on and so forth. And they'll easily get the 7 million votes. So I think what we need to do is play the wrong game, because tuko na energy nyingi sana. We are so energetic, but we also have to be strategic. Juu sahii tukiendelea venye tunaendelea, I'm seeing Ruto catching up, which for him is more focused on the strategy. We have the energy, but we need to be more strategic, and we need other people to help us. For sahii, we don't have a specific structure. That's my argument.
Ekonene, so nimeinterrupt show kukuremind juu ya lemfi, na sunajua lemfi inakupatiaga an opportunity especially kwa huko masaid za US kubaki umetumia pesa Kenya haraka haraka, na usisahau transactions zinakuwaga free. Lakini saizi kitu moja ile nimenotice, kuna wasee wengi sana wale wako states wale wamesign up to lemfi, lakini jo bado hamja transact jo. That first transaction jo baki umeifanya, make sure umetransact at least $100, ndio baki umepata $20 cashback. Alafu pia sisi kama iko nini tubaki tumepata $20 from your deal. Alafu pia usisahau kuwa saa hizi jo lemfi inakupatia an opportunity ya kutuma pesa Kenya, lakini kama uko US and you need support, and pia unaweza baki umetumiwa pesa from Kenya to the US through lemfi. Alafu pia mkiwa masaiti za states na nyinyi wote wawili mko na lemfi, mzabaki umetumia na pesa. Unajua si lazima mtumie ile nyingine sijui ya huko, tumia tu yetu ya mtaa, lemfi to lemfi hapo haraka haraka. Alafu vile pia musemaga siku hizi kuna vile unazabaki umelipa till number, na pia unazabaki umelipa pay bill direct. So tuseme you're doing like this construction project and you need to deposit do kwa bank account fulani, na uko na pay bill ama a certain company and you have the pay bill, you can just do that through lemfi, then upatie raya fulani. Alafu since uko states ya kucheza jo, so unangoja nini jo, changamka haraka haraka, baki umefanya that first transaction kutumia lemfi. Usahau ni promo code ni ekonene. Hiyo promo code ya ekonene ndio inakupatia $20 cashback on your first transaction. Lemfi, international payments for everyone. Wacha turudi kwa show. Okay. We need professionals, because when I think of those professionals or accounting, what if they came and told us what we've had? I don't know how true this is, but kumekuwa na the story that all these stories about pads being taxed were not real. Najua I never read the document, so mi mwenyewe nilijipata kwa street, so I don't know how true that was, because that didn't make sense at the point. Yes, but now if you're to talk about professionals, these professionals will risk. Unajua kitu meko ikihappen ile Mseka Morara alisema because he was involved, KRA was unleashed on him. So you see now there is no professional worth his salt who's going to risk his company being audited, because usemaga any company ukiauditiwa, even the best person with the best accountant, if you are audited watapata kuna tax aujailipa, because unajua gele ni tax avoidance is not bad, tax evasion ni mbaya. So watatafuta hiyo place umeavoid na waiturn that avoidance into evasion, unaona. So it means that now it means that there is no way that professionals watakuwa involved. That's why I still go back to the fact that these individuals, hata ukibonga juu ya ANC still had Mandela, it still had akina Steve Biko, there were still people in the front line. They always someone in the front line. Anything that does not have a leader, and for us not to have a leader and say, you know what, we don't want a leader because the leader will be compromised, it means that we have no principles. Because if you have principles, then it would not matter. It would be like anyone who can be a leader can still be a leader. But sasa wasiwako like zizi umse akikuwa leader yetu atakuwa compromise. That means we stand for nothing. We need to reach a level where we are like, you know what, umse ni leader wetu and he's not going to sell us out. He understands the bigger vision. So I feel like yo sisi tukisema that hatutaki leader because the leader will be sold out. Eventually hata tukisign hizo documents, you see, an MOU means nothing. At the end of the day, it's the president to decide whether to fulfill it or not. The reason why Gachagua is out is because he felt the MOU he had with Ruto was not fulfilled. Sindio? The reason Kibaki alikosana na kina Raila after ile ya kwanza ilikuwa ni NAK, after NAK is because they felt that
have to
the
knock.
MOU was not fulfilled. So there's that side.
Yeah.
The other side is, one thing about being young is sometimes, because you look at yourself in the mirror every day, you lie to yourself that you'll always be young. The Gen Zs need their change today. History ya kusema it's a long term plan is kujienjoy. Wanajienjoy aje? Because if they want change today, if you look at countries kama Senegal, the president that they have, that young guy, he was in prison till a day before the elections. Senegalese wanted change. They elected him. He did not need to campaign. Alikuwa jela mpaka a day before the election. He ended up as the president of Senegal. If we look at Botswana majuzi pia ilisikamana the same. People, watu walikaa chini wakamua they wanted change. They wanted the regime that had ruled Botswana for 58 years to leave. And what did the youth do? They came out and they got the change. If Kenyans want change, they do not need time. They have the numbers. The only thing they need to do is to decide we want this change and we are ready for this change. To say that they have to wait for 20 years. One thing about life is just because you're young does not mean you won't die tomorrow. And just because you're old does not mean you won't see the next 20, 30 years. You understand? So with that in mind, what I'd say is if the Gen Zs actually want change, they have to be ready to get the change in 2027. They have to look at Senegal, they have to look at Botswana, and they have to be like, if they can do it, we can do it. And what we need to do is, first of all, forget the tribal politics. The next thing that they need to do is, apart from forget tribal politics, is to forget this confrontational politics where we say that if tunataka a leader, the leader has to be someone who can suspend the constitution and go on a wild run just to make things nini. Otherwise, if we keep lying to ourselves that there's time, we can, this is a 20-year plan. No, it's not a 20-year plan. It's fagia wote. It's tunataka change. This is a clown. If you give this clown the next 20 years to steal, he'll have looted the whole country. Mpaka the country will be bare-boned. He needs to go. And we just go through that change. That's what would be my 2 cents. I feel like if we want change, hakuna story ati kuna 20 years. Hakuna guarantee 20 years from now tutakuwa. Na pia kama uko na njaa saa hizi, and if you're jobless, there's no guarantee you can survive for the next 20 years while being jobless. You need change today. And for you to get this change today, you start working on it today, and in 2027, you, your grandmother, and everyone comes out and yeah.
But sorry, ni, I agree with what you're saying, but tukiweza jiuliza, nini wase walikuwa wanafanya State House last weekend? Hao ni vijana, kulikuwa na Gen Zs.
Yes. Walikuwa wanafanya nini? So, those are Gen Zs without jobs. Najua kuna kitu moja nilisemaga that in Africa, one of the sad things about African politics is African politicians have made us be always on survival mode. So since we are always on survival mode, it means that when I see people at State House, the first thing that comes to my mind is not they've betrayed us. I'll hate the fact that they're being treated like children, being made to dance, being made to talk in Shengtezo. I think those are childish things. But I understand if someone has lied to you, because as it's coming out, hawana bikes bado. Wanaambua bado bikes zinasajiliwa. So I can understand mtu hana chochote akiambwa ni aje ukikuja hapa utapata a free bike, and with this free bike you might change your life. They are going to show up there. Me and you might not show up there, but for them it's a life and death situation. And you always have to understand that we all have one life, and if I'm sleeping hungry, my baby does not want to know about my principles. Mtoi wangu hataki kujua that nachukia Ruto so much that if Ruto decides to offer me a free bicycle, I'm not going to take it because you'd rather starve to death. We are principled people. So that's what happened. Like this guy knows that people are desperate, and so he takes advantage of the desperation. And that's what I think I saw last week on Saturday.
But I want to say something. It's not that this guy has seen that Gen Zs are desperate. Ruto, it's not that Ruto has seen Gen Zs are desperate. What Ruto has seen is that Gen Zs don't have a strategy. Because, number one, we are partyless, hatuna chama. Kesho, tukijua hata let's say Mwafrika kesho tunakufanya uwe president ama next year, number one, hatuna chama, no, we don't have leaders, right? So chenye Ruto wameangalia, number one, conventionally anyone who has power, any government that has power anywhere in the world, number one, they have structures.
Yes.
Any movement that has taken power, Mau Mau, ANC, civil rights movement, they once had structures.
Yes.
And these structures, number one, an example, one thing that Mau Mau and the ANC in South Africa wakipigana na appetite, there are some few things they had. Number one, walikuwa na wase wa intelligence. Mau Mau, kuna wamama walikuwa wanaenda wanaimba bunduki, right? Wanapelekea Mau Mau. Mandela, in as much as yes, he's a good leader, but Mandela was the head of the military wing of Otto Wesizwe ya South Africa. Now, they also had some people like Ruth First. Ruth First alikuwa journalist. She was writing. She was doing investigative journalism. Wase wakiwawa huko South Africa, she would report, and she was an academic.
Yes.
Now, ikikuja hapa now, the young people want Ruto out.
Yes.
Of course, issues to do with accountability, issues that they all believe in. But Ruto wameangalia pakona, number one, okay, leaderless. Number two, partyless. Tribeless is very good. That I very much support.
Alafu jukuna badis. Yeah. Jukuna badis number 3, pantyless. Okay, sa tuendele.
Hizo zote rest.
Yes.
So Ruto ameangalia wase, akaangalia okay, number one, hakuna strategy. So mkiitwa State House, hata nani anawaambia ama nani ataenda asimame aseme those Gen Zs that were in State House, they are not part of us. Who can say that? Nobody. Why? Because we don't have a board, or we don't have a group of readers, a group of professionals working with Gen Zs. When people who have a voice, or people to come a Faith Odhiambo, if maybe there were like 3-4 other people working with Faith Odhiambo, when they were saying those were not part of us, people will listen to them. So what Ruto is doing, he has seen something that he can exploit.
Yes.
And that's why anatumia politicians, taenda achukue vijana hapo, hii empowerment. Na one more thing, hii empowerment inafanywa county by county by county. I wish it was civic education being done maybe by some civil societies, county by county by county. So you see, this is a guy who is ahead. Na anaenda mashinani, right? So I agree with you, kuna chenye Ruto ameona, but what my opinion is, chenye Ruto ameona Gen Zs hawana ni strategy.
Yes.
We are a crowd and we have the energy. I think we need a strategy. Now, who can help us have that strategy? We need a group of readers to give us that strategy.
And those leaders wakitokea, what guarantees can you give them that they won't be shot down like the ones before them? You understand? Like, because that's what has happened. Anyone who's tried to bring their head up kidogo, amekuwa shot down. I'd even go as far as saying msekama Osama Otero. Osama Otero is the guy who, when people wanted to question the president, he was like, you know what? Sawa, I'll question the president on your behalf. And I remember he asked the president some tough questions. What ended up happening with him? He was cancelled. You understand? So since alikuwa cancelled, I think hapo ndio level maybe tuna disagree on. The fact that nafikiria at some point the Gen Zs will be reasonable enough to know that you can't be leaderless, radarless, and headless forever. At some point, you have to know that there is a leader. This does not make this person a god. It just makes them like the right person to lead us, because they can, number one, articulate our points, and number two, they are charismatic enough. Because don't forget, politics is an emotional game. I think that's the one thing that we keep forgetting. A lot of people think politics is logical. That's why even when you talk about things like civic education, if you are to ask me, I think Kenyans know, even my grandmother knows that tribal politics is not good for her. But since it's an emotional game, she's always going to vote for tribally. And now it comes to Gen Zs, I think it would be very dishonest of us to think that Gen Zs don't know that tribal politics is bullshit. They know. But since it's an emotional game, everyone is looking for that one leader who I can connect with emotionally. And for us to get that one leader, it has to be someone who's charismatic. You see, mtu kama Kasmuel, for example, when he used to talk before people decided to hate him, people used to listen. Nacheki, like he used to be and I express the same thing na Morara. I always give the example of the day that Morara alikuwa ametoka kotini alafu akapanda juu ya gari and a whole crowd went to listen to him and they were having the time of their lives. And you can see that's what politics is. Politics is, there is the emotional side. Now what we want is robots. We want robots, and these robots do not exist. And ile time mtu anakama anawambia like, no, you know what, you still have to go back to the Moraras and the what. Uko like, they have zero integrity. Oh, they stole our money. Uko like, which money of yours did they steal? Waliba tu pesa yetu. And we then tunakuwa stuck hapa. And that's why the reason why ukiniuliza mi nitakwambia Ruto anarudi, because atarudi juu kila mtu ana distrust everyone is dirty except me. You understand? And that's I always look at that from the American perspective. I always give the example as, why did Democrats lose? Democrats lost because they had the same attitude of everyone is bad except me. Kama haupendi blah blah blah, wewe ni hivi. Democrats ilifika mpaka level ya nini. I'm someone who understands nature. So since I understand nature, I understand that like homosexuality is in more than, I think so far wanasema over 1,000 species. So it's not unique to humans. But sasa kuna time ile nini, I think Democrats will come up na way where if saizi Charlie transgender akikuja nikikataa kuingia box, anasema niko transphobic. Niko like siko transphobic, ni vile tu mi napenda tu dem akikuwa dem from day one, si ati ni dem but so you understand these things. So they started out really good. Wali start out kama Kenya saizi tuna recognize 3 sexes, sindio? So we recognize male, female and intersex, sindio? But now through nature tumekam ku understand pia even the binary concept makes sense. There's sometimes where utafikiria dem ni dem, akumbe si dem, fikiria Charlie ni dem, but see, you understand? So I understand there's that. So tukishaenda hapo, ukikam sasa kwanza kuniambia that I have to be attracted to everyone, and if I'm not attracted to someone, I'm homophobic, I'm transphobic, you start losing me. Even I, who was reasonable, is like, and that's what's happening with the Gen Z movement. They are so fucking unreasonable. Like everyone is a sellout. Boy anaitwa nani, Toxic Lyrically, alienda ka perform for the president. He's a sellout. We need to cancel him. We need to cancel him. If you're cancelling everyone, you're going to lose all your allies. And I'll keep using the example of Democrats. That's the reason why Democrats lost, because they became too perfect. You can never be too perfect. Life is not black and white. Vila nasemanga, kuna hizo gray areas. There are areas where we have to congregate hapo in between. So inakuwa as a decent human being, hata hapa Kenya kuna wase ujam, wase wako na ujinga, wale hawataki kubelieve that vile saizi nimetoka kusema like homosexuality is something natural, iko kwa nature. That's why Lions Mills goes na dinyana kwa national park. Alafu nakumbuka nani anaitwa nani ule buda anaitwa tukamwita Deputy Jesus Ezekiel Mutua akasema they've learned that from tourists. You remember that bullshit? So you understand, sasa kuna hivyo. But sasa mtu anakama anasema sawa, since hiki tuna happening in nature na umesha kubali, saa uchali kana kutaka usimkatae itakuwa you are home. I'm like, no, that does not mean that. So and that's nimetumia hiyo Democrats cause I think when I was seeing the analysis ya politics ya US baadaye, ilikuwa watu walisema they concentrated so much on sex and sexuality that they forgot that people could barely pay their bills. Right now in Kenya, the Gen Z movement has concentrated on perfection. You have to be fucking perfect. Nisi find out like kuna siku uliendaga sijui wapi ukafanya hivi, we are cancelling you. and they are losing people, and that movement is losing people every day. We can only see the figureheads, akina Morara and akina Kasmuel, but if you are to ask me, they are losing so many Kenyans, and it's because of that perfection, and someone needs to come to them. I think the last thing naenda kumaliza nayo ni Obama. Nakumbuka Obama pia did the famous speech where he said that Democrats walikuwa wanataka someone perfect, alafu akasema you need to understand that good people also do bad things and bad people do good things. There's that gray area, and I don't think the Gen Z movement has understood that good people do bad things and bad people do good things, and that's the problem we have. Yes.
And I agree, because someone like Kasmuel, Morara, probably they are just organic readers, because movement ikikuja, it also comes with some, organic readers. And as I said, one thing that Morara or Kasmuel didn't have, ni support, by the way. Because, okay, Gen Zs wanataka perfection. But sasa mtu amekuja amejitokeza, and maybe they can offer a leadership role, but Gen Zs wanakataa, we are leaderless. And those two guys are young good guys who are very passionate with the movement. Nobody came to their defense. Sahi Morara ako peke yake na mashida zake. Kasmuel na yeye, maybe he's also pursuing other ambitions politically, of course. And as I was saying, tukiweza kuwa with some form of leadership, we just embrace professionals, artists, nini. Assuming Morara angeingiliwa professional artist association waseme au hapana, this is our stand, abakiwe hapa na RSK, abakiwe na, that is the support that they didn't have. So no matter how good or the intentions they had, of course, utapata burnout, because as an individual, you can only do so much. I'll give you an example. Wakati, it's like South Africa, wakati Nelson Mandela alifungwa 7 years, those are a lot of years. But juu movement ya apartheid ilikuwa na watu wengi, kunao pia walibaki, akina Steve Biko, they were still agitating. In fact, kuna wazungu waliwajoin, akina David Webster, wenye hata waliwawa, they were assassinated, right? They were still in the movement, and so many. Jacob Zuma, Mandela akiwa kwa jera, Jacob Zuma walikuwa nje, and in fact he was in the ANC intelligence, the military wing. And the current president of South Africa, Ramaphosa, he was in the student government. Na pia Nelson Mandela akiwa kwa jera, he even formed an association of the National Mining Workers Union, and they were still going on with the fight. So I reckon that because yes, tunaweza kuwa na very good leaders who came out organically out of the movement, but since one personality may not help us, but if they had other group of leaders assisting them, at least Kasmuel ajitoe, Morara ajitoe, the movement in terms of cohesion, strategy and structures, the movement will still go on. Hadi penye saa tutasema okay, now 2027 tuna support huyu na momentum bado ikiendelea. But now what I'm observing in Kenya home, momentum ya Gen Zs inaisha. As you're saying, people are getting tired. Politicians wameanza kuinfiltrate movement. Na watu sawa wameanza kununuliwa ama wana join or supporting other politicians. And I mean, steam imeisha. And to me, that is very worrying because so many young people died, a lot of blood was spilled. And the Gen Z movement was a good thing. For the first time, they even had to, the president even dissolved the cabinet. That was a golden moment. But inaona ni, we don't have readers. And Kenya iko na wasee werevu sana. DC, I meet so many intelligent Kenyans, they articulate on issues. Watu wanapenda nchi hata si tukiwa huko nje. Na siamini Gen Zs wanaweza kosa watu wenye watawasaidia. So many lawyers in Nairobi, artists for the first time, artists started talking about politics. Hii movement kuna venye ilikuwa imeenda na momentum. But what I feel, ifika mahali tukasema tutaki kusaidiwa na mtu, we don't want any leader, we are partyless. So in as much as so many people are silently supporting the Gen Z movement, wakiongea kwa manyumba na nini, I feel that in a way we are shooting ourselves in the foot, because without any leadership, without any support, we'll definitely go nowhere. Of course, blood will be spilled. Watu watachapwa na askari, wengine watashikwa, wengine wako na makesi. But without that, we'll definitely go nowhere. So we really need leaders. Yeah.
Okay.
And again, I agree with what umesema mambo ya perfection. The leaders don't have to be perfect.
Okay, sawa. So any last words tukimalizia hii story?
So venye naweza sema ni I mean the movement has been was a good thing, but I mean without us engaging the professionals and other organizations, and they don't have to be professionals, by the way. They can be, people who are respected. Actually, for me, even the religious leaders, in as much as the church did not, of course, the church also has its own misgivings, because the church was told that it supported a leader who is currently known for, moral indiscretions. I think we can embrace, or the Gen Z movement need to embrace other organizations, work together with them for the ideals that they believe in to become a reality, for us to have an accountable country. And that's why you can see an old man such as David Maraga, he's really embracing, and these people are taking keen of. Uliona Chief Justice Martha Koome jana ama ni juzi, she gave a standing ovation and they clapped for the Gen Z. So the head of the judiciary can see what the young people are doing. People like Maraga can say, and the outside world, huku nje, we meet other people from other countries. They know what the young people in Kenya are doing, and the young people in Kenya are respected for that. But all that should not go to drain. But the only thing that we can do is embrace other organizations and work together with them if we are really serious that we need to achieve results. So that's what I believe.
Okay. I hope watu wamekusikia. Leadership is needed, and so I think the only point to me disagree ni stories of figureheads, ama that having that kawan figure there who represents the rest. But I think we both agree on leadership is needed, because without leadership, history are rudderless, and what we just end up getting tukipotea. But yeah,
nowhere.
Yeah, sawa Mr. Katabia, thank you mono.